Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel 90% Native. My name is Michelle and I grow native plants and I garden for the wildlife. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm glad to have you here. If you're not, you'll know that I have taken an extended break, probably about 9 months since I released a YouTube video, and there was a lot of things going on in my life, very good things and some not so good things, and I really just needed the time to do life. And so now here we are, 2025, and I'm ready to get back to sharing all my garden adventures with you. The topic today is going to be all about the native plants that I am growing, sowing, and buying over this winter period, and just to let you know maybe why or where I'm planning to put them, and then just a little bit about how I sow my native plant seeds. I'm going to talk to you about how I sow my seeds in the winter, but if you want to skip that part because you already know what I'm going to say, I will put up on the screen the timestamp to go and skip over to the plants section. There are a few ways that I sow my seeds over the fall and the winter. First up is the winter sowing method. You guys can look it up on the internet because there's so much fantastic information about it. Essentially, it is using milk jugs, reusing them to create mini greenhouses, and you keep your seeds outside all winter exposed to the weather, and you'll get a little bit of a head start in the spring when they start to sprout. Now, I typically don't winter sow with milk jugs for my native plant seeds. I don't know why. I just don't. Like, I'll usually reserve that if I'm doing maybe some non-natives, cold hardy non-natives for my pollinator garden or my veg bed and cutting bed. But that's pretty much what I use the winter sowing method for. Another way I sow my seeds in the winter is using these seed tray flats. They have individual cells in them, and they come in maybe 32 cells or 50 cells, something like that, and then the cell is probably about this deep, so a nice area for a seed to grow and extend its roots. I like having that extra space for the roots for my native plants, because this isn't like growing a cucumber or something like that where you're going to replant that plant quickly in the spring. Native plants will stay in their cells longer because it takes them longer to grow, in my experience. And the way that I am sowing my seeds this winter is reusing the winter sowing milk jugs that I used last year for my annuals, and cut the top off, and that gives me a really nice deep area for the plants to grow, the seeds to germinate and grow. But instead of putting them in individual cells like I've done in the past, I just mass seeded in those in the bottoms of those milk jugs. Now, it didn't take me any time at all to do this, which is great. What's going to happen on the back end of this in the spring is I'm going to have to pot up all those little tiny seedlings. Now, that's okay, because for me, I think I'm going to want to be in the garden doing that in the spring versus taking the extra time with the the 32 or 50 count deep cell trays. So that's just what I felt like doing this year. We'll see how well it goes. I also am using 5-gallon, I think they're 5-gallon grow bags that I had like my ginger in and stuff like that, and I'm using those as well to just mass seed my native plant seeds. This year, I ordered a bunch of bare root plants for various reasons, so I'll take you through those now. First up, I'll talk about the shrubs that I ordered. I'm very excited about the shrubs that I ordered because I am going to be popping these shrubs into my native hedgerows. I have been looking into, I think it's called the Miyawaki method. It's a Japanese densely planted microforest, and what it does is because the plants are put in the ground so close together, it forces them to compete for resources and grow fast. So I want to play around with that a little bit. So I ordered, first up, Calycanthus florida, and this is Carolina Allspice, but as you can see on the screen, it's also known as a sweet shrub. I already have this plant, and this is one that I'm going to mess around with some propagation methods with that I hope to video later. But anyway, it's supposed to have a really nice smell to it. I have never smelled, I really haven't gotten that, and it might be because the plant that I was trying to smell, apparently every plant will have a different magnitude of the fragrance, and so mine don't seem to be highly fragrant, but that might just be me. So what I have found with these guys is they are deer resistant, so I can put them in my hedgerow and, cross my fingers that it will be the last thing the deer want to eat, or one of the last things that the deer want to eat. So again, this is sweet shrub, Carolina Allspice, Calycanthus florida, and let me give you some other pictures here. The blooms are really, really cool, and the leaves are really nice big leaves. So just a really cool plant. Okay, next up, Coralberry. So as you can see on the screen, same with this one. Another common name for it is Indian currant, and the botanical name is Symphoricarpos orbiculatus. And so anyway, I have some of these as well, and they're not necessarily thriving, so I think I want to give them a little bit more attention. But I ordered, what did I order? I ordered 5 of these bare roots, and I did order from this cold stream farm. But they have these really, really pretty pink berries on them, and the deer have seemed to stay away from them. So I'm going to try and put those out in the native hedgerows as well and let them thicket, hopefully. But let's see, those are the pink berries. This bush here, this is on the smaller side because I think they get pretty tall. Let's see, 2 to 5 feet. Well, maybe not so much. And here's a close-up of the beautiful little flowers. And if you've never ordered bare root before, this is exactly what you're gonna get. You'll get something that looks like a stick with roots on it, and if you've never ordered like that before, you may think that it's dead. Don't worry, you just pot that up or plant it in the ground and it'll come back for you. The other shrub that I ordered is Fragrant Sumac, or Roose Aromatica. And I didn't order it from Prairie Moon. I ordered it from the Cold Stream nursery, but this website has better pictures for you. And I'm not sponsored or anything for any of these companies. So this is what it looks like. I've never grown this before in the full size. I have the smaller ones. I think they're called low grow. And they're deer resistant, and so I don't know why I've never tried these before, but this will be the first time trying these out. They have beautiful, beautiful fall color. So that's it for the shrubs. Now for the bare root perennials, herbaceous perennials that I purchased. I purchased Christmas fern, Polystichum, acrostichoides, and I got 50 of them. And this is Christmas fern. I love Christmas fern. I like the way it looks, pretty much all year. And I really want it dotted in my landscape everywhere. I just absolutely love how these look. If you do buy them bare root, they do take a year or so to get to their full size. Then I ordered Dwarf Crested Iris. I wasn't planning on ordering the Dwarf Crested Iris. I just happened to see it bare root for a really good price, and I think I'm going to use these for my more formal section in the front here. So stay tuned for that. Then we have Indian pink, Spigelia marilandica. This is a plant that I have wanted to try forever. If you go to a native plant nursery, they're usually pretty expensive. However, I did see that Prairie Moon has seeds, and I I didn't see that until after I ordered those 2 seed packets. But anyway, I ordered 5 bare root of Indian pink. Really excited about those to see how they do in my yard. And then finally, I ordered 24 Allegheny spurge, Allegheny Pachysandra procumbens. And this is the native Japanese Pachysandra. I just can't stand Japanese Pachysandra. I have it in my front. I can't get rid of it. Well, I mean, I could, but it takes a lot of work. I have tried. So that's just a work in progress. In the backyard, however, I have been dotting this plant in everywhere, and it does really well from bare root. Just has a beautiful mottled, is that the right word? Mottled, colored leaves, and then in the very early spring, the blooms shoot up like little fireworks. This is a great, great ground cover, and it's deer resistant. So that's it for the herbaceous perennials that I ordered. Now let's look at the seeds that I collected for sowing this winter and fall. First up, we have Liatris spicata, or dense blazing star. Love this plant. It's gorgeous when it emerges in the spring. That has really nice grass-like foliage, so it looks very neat and tidy before the flower spikes come up. And the monarchs love this plant. The swallowtails love this plant. I wish it bloomed longer. I feel like the bloom time is a little not as long as I'd like. And what else about this? Okay, growing it from seed, just know it's going to be a few years before you get a bloom. For some reason, and maybe it's just me, but I've just found that this is one of the native seeds that take a few years to bloom versus others. So if you're looking to have this plant blooming in your yard instantly, I would definitely advise buying a mature plant or buying it bare root. I think I've seen them bare root before. Moving on to New York Ironweed. This is a picture of the straight species. The purple, I don't think that this photo does the purple much justice. The purple is really, really deep, vibrant purple. It's really stunning, the color of those blooms. It is a late bloomer, so good for the late pollinators. Now, the straight species is really, really tall. So, and I have it in places, but it's hard to manage that height or how high it gets in my yard. So I actually bought a dwarf variety. So it gets about 3 feet tall. And when it went to seed, I collected and sowed the seed, so we'll see what happens with that this year. Okay, guys, nodding onion, Allium cernuum. Y'all know that I love this plant. This is deer resistant. Like, the deer don't touch it in my yard because of the odor. And I mean, it doesn't smell. Like, if you go up and it has that onion smell, but you don't like smell it when you're walking by. It's just a gorgeous plant, and the bumblebees will hang like upside down on them. If I'm not mistaken, bumblebees are the only ones that can hang upside down. I don't know. I'm going to double check that. I thought I read that somewhere. Anyway, love this plant for the landscape, especially because it is deer resistant. Something to know, I think, I'm not 100%, but depending on where you live, this might actually be considered invasive. So like something in California, that's native to California, could be invasive in Virginia. So that's just something to check based on where you live. I'm in Northern Virginia and it's native here. Then we have side oats, grandma Butaloa curtipendula. Okay. I have found when I grow my grass seeds or my grasses from seed, they take a really long time to mature. And I started growing this a couple years ago, and now they're just starting to get to like a little bigger size so I can see what it's going to look like in the landscape. And I really, really liked their form this past summer. So I collected the seeds off of mine and I'm growing a few more. So I'll keep you posted on these guys, and probably in the summer I'll show you how they look. Then we have Spirea tomentosa, steeple bush. Oh my gosh, guys, if you have a wet, moist area and sun, this is a fantastic plant. Now, and just keep in mind, I have mine planted in in areas where it's like not necessarily wet, or maybe it's a little moist. So just know that it's a little versatile in that regard. But look at those flowers. They are so, so pretty. Oh my goodness. So pretty. The other thing about this is the stems are very sturdy. They're woody stems, and you don't really need staking of these plants, and they have really nice fall color, and they have a really nice winter interest. I'm thinking about actually mass planting them a little bit more where I have them to get even more of that winter interest. So just imagine this, that brownish color sticking straight up. I love this plant. Now we have tall bellflower, or Campanula americana. These flowers are so stinking gorgeous. Okay. For some reason, this plant hasn't really done well in my yard. I'm sure it's user error and where I'm putting it and things like that. But when I have had blooms on them, so pretty. Bumblebees flock to them. Just beautiful. I think I'm just going to keep trying and trying this plant because it's just so pretty. But this plant is a biennial. And if you don't know what biennial is, that means that the first year it's going to grow its greenery. The second year it's going to shoot up its flower, and then it's going to go to seed and spread its seed. And this is one of those types of biennials that should self-seed. So it's almost like you have a perennial, but you don't. So that is the tall bellflower. Here we have anise hyssop, or Agastache phoniculum. And really nice, pretty plant. Now this one is another deer resistant plant. I've grown this one from seed for the past couple years. I do have to say that it does take a while to mature in my experience. So, take that for what it's worth, but it's just a really gorgeous plant and it's deer resistant. So I'm all in on that. Here we have spotted bee balm, or Monarda punctata. I've been wanting to grow this for a couple years. I have some areas where I have native plant beds that are sunny and very dry. So that's why I wanted specifically this plant in my yard would go into my hummingbird garden, if you know which one that is. And it's being a Monarda, it's in the mint family, so it's gonna spread. I don't have experience with this Monarda to see how much it does spread. I know my Monarda didyma, the red Monarda, spreads a lot. So I'm just gonna let this weave in through my hummingbird garden and fill in any holes. I actually sowed a whole, 50 deep cell flat last year, and when I went on vacation it got really dry here in Virginia and they all died. So I'm trying again this year. And here is Hypericum punctatum. Y'all know I love the Hypericum plants. This is dotted St. John's wort, and I have this in the yard, but I also have the bush Hypericum prolificum, and this is the herbaceous perennial, and it is a beautiful plant. It's very understated. It has glaucous type leaves, really good fall colors, and it also stands for winter interest like the steeplebush. What else do I like about this plant? I just want to pop it in everywhere. It seems to be deer resistant in my yard. We haven't had much nibbling on these, and so just a nice plant to pop in between other, more showy plants to give the eye a rest maybe. Anyway, Hypericum Punctatum. The other thing about this one is after this plant goes to seed, you do have that really nice winter interest, but if you happen to cut that off, you also have the rosette on the ground, and that stays green like all winter long pretty much. So that's another reason to like this plant. Wild quinine is another one. Now I have seeds from last year from Prairie Moon, and I don't think they germinated. I don't remember, but so this is, I'm considering this my like first year with the wild quinine. I had actually purchased a plant from Earth Sangha. It's a fabulous local eco-type nursery in my area if you're ever here, and I accidentally killed it. So yeah, we're gonna give this one another try. I don't have any experience with it. So here we have Antenaria plantaginefolia, common name pussy toes. I don't like saying that name, so I'm going to try and avoid it, okay? Anyway, this has a very silvery type leaf. The reason for that name is because the blooms look like little kitten paws, like the pads on a little kitten. This plant is the host plant for the American lady butterfly, and let me tell you, when I put them in my yard the first time, the American lady butterfly was immediately in my yard laying eggs on the foliage, and so that was really exciting. So that's a really good reason to plant this. They stay really small. I think they like dry areas. Let's go down here and see. Let's see. Yeah, medium dry, 12 inches. So a good plant if you want to keep things small and not have to worry about the staking. Another one of my favorites is Zizia aurea, or golden Alexanders. I don't know why I kept the seed or collected seed on this one, because this self-seeds everywhere in my yard, and usually I just move them up, pop them out of the ground and move them around in the spring. It's like a yellow Queen Anne's lace when it's in bloom, and it has really nice year-round interest because you can cut the plant to the ground, and after it blooms, and then the leaves will reflush out, and they'll be really, really nice and fresh and pretty, and those will stay like all through winter. It's supposed to be a host plant for the black swallowtail, but I've never seen caterpillars on it. But I also have a lot of tulip poplars in my yard too, which is another host plant for them, I believe. Maybe it's because they prefer the tulip poplar. I don't know. And the last plant that I sowed as far as my natives go is Prunella vulgaris, subspecies lanceolata. My research shows that Prunella vulgaris is not native to the U.S. However, Prunella vulgaris subspecies lanceolata is. So that's just based on my research. I am working on developing my bee lawn in my backyard. So this has gone into that. And this year was the first year I started to see some blooms. Some people consider it a lawn weed, I think, but it's just absolutely gorgeous. So I'm going to continue putting it in my lawn in my backyard. And then I'll also use it in my pollinator, cutting garden, vegetable garden as well. Moving on to the 2 seed packets that I am still expecting from Prairie Moon Nursery. The first is smooth yellow violet, or Viola eriocarpa. I love violets. A lot of people a lot of people consider violets lawn weeds. I actually love it, especially in my backyard and my bee lawn. It just is so beautiful when they start to bloom in the early spring, just having like that sea of purple. Oh, I just absolutely love it. I've wanted to incorporate the yellow violet as well. I did purchase some from our local nursery, Earth Sangha. So I'll see how they do next year. But I wanted to grow them from seed. I don't know if they're as hardy as the common blue violet. I think they're a little taller. Again, I don't have a lot of experience with this plant, but I do really love it. And violets are the host plant for the fritillary butterflies. And those are just gorgeous. So I also love using the common blue violet as a ground cover. And yeah, I love violets. The other pack of seeds that I am waiting for is Venus's Looking Glass, or Triodanis perfoliata. And this plant, I'd never seen it before, and we were hiking last year with my friends down in West Point, Virginia, and we saw these in the field, and I did a identify on it because it was just so beautiful. They're very short plants, but it really stood out to me. So looked it up, and what do you know, Prairie Moon Nursery had the seeds. The one thing that I wanted to point out about this plant is that it is an annual, and it is supposed to self-seed pretty well. So I will let you know how that goes. The non-natives that I sowed this winter are two different salvias. We got a blue salvia and a red salvia. I really love salvias. I think they're gorgeous, and they bring in the hummingbirds. So they neither are native to Northern Virginia, but they are native to the US. They are not invasive. I also had a packet of leftover Geum triflorum, or Prairie Smoke. Now that's not native to Northern Virginia. And I haven't ever tried it before, but it was just so pretty. The pictures are so pretty. Here's a picture. They are really, really pretty. So I couldn't help myself on that one. And they're very short too, so 8 inches. So that fits another need that I'm looking for as well. Those are all the plants that I am going to be growing and messing around with this coming spring and summer. Let me know in the comments if there are any plants that you are excited about growing. And the very last thing I wanted to talk about, or to tell you about, my 2 New Year's resolutions, I guess. 2 things going into 2025 that I want to do this year. The first is work on different types of propagation methods. I'm really interested in propagation, and so there are a couple things I want to try, and hopefully I can share that with you on video. And then the other is to improve my Latin botanical names. So memorize more of them, fix my pronunciation, and then also learn what those words mean so I know how it corresponds to the actual plant. So those are my 2 New Year's resolutions. If you have any you want to talk about, I'd love to hear them in the comments as well. I had some other things I wanted to talk about today, but this video seems to be getting pretty long, so I'll cut it off now. Thank you for being patient with me in my extended absence. Have a fantastic day, happy gardening, and I will catch you again next time.